All right, the Code Breaker. Jennifer Doudna, Gene Editing and the Future of the Human Race by Walter Isaacson, a 2021 nonfiction book uh, talking about the history and the development of CRISPR, which is the clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats. What is that? Well, American biochemist Jennifer Doudna, born in 1964, her collaborator Emmanuel Charpentier were investigating bacteria and how it fought off viruses. And this 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 family of DNA found in bacteria, CRISPR, they found that what it was doing was chopping off segments of the virus's DNA and then storing it as like sort of a library to be able to then, if that virus came back, to be able to target it and attack it, battle it off. What Doudna and Charpentier were able to do was to realize that CRISPR could be used to actually edit DNA in both plants and animals, including human beings. This discovery led to them winning the Nobel Prize for chemistry in 2020. So the book is Isaacson's book is a wonderful look at the complex story, which involves the whole scientific community, many scientists and personalities, but all organized around Jennifer Doudna. This isn't just a traditional biography of Doudna, not like one of his other works, Steve Jobs, which was sort of more focused as it sounds like more of a biography of Steve Jobs. This doesn't really get deep into her personal life, but it uses her as sort of the organizing figure through which they're able to, where Isaacson is able to look at sort of the history of DNA, going back to James Watson, who his book The Double Helix, detailing the discovery of the structure of DNA, the double helix, with Crick and his condescending but respecting of the science of one of their collaborators, Rosalind Franklin, who was it's now acknowledged they didn't particularly acknowledge her contribution properly in the discovery. They go from that to just all the scientists, the competition, the just the sort of the business of science, the patents being made and the battle over patents, to coming out the other side to the aftermath, where glory-seeking scientists in China use this technology to do a hatchet job on human embryos, and gave birth to a couple of girls who, in a kind of a glory-seeking attempt to use the technology to make offspring resistant to HIV. That scientist has been imprisoned for 3 years and banned from working in this field for the rest of his life. But just kind of going into what's the consequences of this going to be. Isaacson sort of really makes this like, oh, this is a clear and present danger kind of thing. It really kind of revs you up that way. It does seem to be that this is a science that is in its infancy, that CRISPR as it stands now isn't a massive leap forward. Doudna talks about how gene editing before, if you wanted to change, it's like if it was a computer program. Before, in gene editing, it was sort of like you would have to rewire the entire computer to change the program, while CRISPR is no, CRISPR is just the program. You can actually just program it, and you can do things much more cheaply and much more quickly. But it is still seems to be something where it's that they're still working out exactly, how well it's going to work, but that this is the time to have the conversations about how are we going to do this and how are we going to use this in the future. The specter of something like eugenics comes up in this conversation. Are we going to edit out everything that is not desirable to our society right now, where we can see glaring examples in our past history where this has been used to go after vulnerable populations without their consent, and sterilize, or euthanize them. So it's one of these it's definitely one of these things of our can the kind of, I guess, the open question, do human beings have the wisdom to use this tool? But I mean, there's also the question of we have so many tools already that sometimes we use really well in science, in our technology, and sometimes we don't. I mean, you could look at all the wonderful uses of science we've used for warfare and murdering each other. Um, so, and also just the point that we're already at that stage that through genetics tests, parents can make the decision whether to carry a embryo to term already. This is technology that it is out of it is already out of the Pandora's box, I guess, as it was, or the genie out of the bottle. And where are we gonna go from here? Is a question that, while it's maybe not tomorrow, it is coming, and it's a conversation that, definitely, as Dudna says in the book, is something that we need to probably have a conversation about in the open, with worldwide conversation about this, taking into account stuff like, um, making decisions for people who by definition can't give consent because they haven't been born yet. If you do germline editing, with your editing, for heritable traits in people, not just the somatic. I mean, the thing with CRISPR, though, is that it has so much applications for stuff that's for individual patients. They're talking about using it to work on for cures for cancers, for creating antibiotics, use in diagnosing infections, in making organ transplants from animals, actually, not be kind of a nightmare of rejections and stuff like that, preventing the spread of diseases. So it's one of these things that is obviously, it seems like it's going to bring so much amazingly wonderful stuff, but there is also with it, as with everything, I guess, there's the positives and negatives. We've had a technological revolution for the last while, and that has brought amazing stuff that I'm here talking to you right now. But it is also, if you've noticed the internet, it's not all sunshine and roses. And it's certainly changed how our society is. And this is going to, this bio revolution is also going to change our society. It's exciting and it's scary at the same time. And this was a really good book for that. And it's one of these books that makes me want to read more and learn more about areas like, well, just, the actual nuts and bolts science, told on a level that an English major can understand, which Isaacson does a good job of, but also bioethics. And probably I'm looking at it from a secular point of view of bioethics, but I think that's a rich and interesting place to go as well, of being, if not taking a part in the conversation, at least getting to hear intelligent, thoughtful people who put a lot into this, and from people who have who have perspectives. The deaf community is one where people who inherit deafness have a lot to say about this and have a lot of opinions about people curing their community away. It's so these are this is going to be it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be messy. Oh boy. So yeah, that is The Code Breaker by Walter Isaacson. Uh, I would definitely check it out. It's really well written, really broken up into these short chapters that enable you to kind of take in this information. I don't know how much of the science is actually stuck in there. You can probably tell by all the messiness there, and I've definitely fallen down a rabbit hole of watching a lot of scientific explainers to try and reinforce all the information that I did take in. But yeah, really fascinating stuff. All right, I will leave it there. More videos later.